I want to welcome everyone to the May 12th, 2022 Inspiring Author Conversations. I'm Kathy Davis with Davis Creative Publishing Partners. Today, we'll be speaking with Robin Owens about how to turn your book into a masterful course. Before we welcome Robin, I just wanted to remind everybody of a few logistics. The call is being recorded. You'll receive a link to the YouTube video within about 48 hours after the call. Your attendance at these meetings serves as your permission to be seen in the recordings. And I think we've all muted ourselves. Please find your chat button down, usually at the bottom of your screen. And if you have any questions, drop them into the chat box. I'll be watching the chat box and Julie will be helping me with that. And we'll make sure we get all your questions answered. We promise to end the call around noon or shortly thereafter, so we can all get back to our business of the day. The theme for 2022 continues to be inspiring authors. Each month, we welcome guests who are either an inspiring author or someone who helps authors and inspires them by sharing knowledge, new ideas, opportunities, and wisdom. Our guest today happens to be both. Robin Owens, Ph.D., is the founder and CEO of Masterful Course Creations. She's a speaker, author, college professor. I saw a photo on Facebook of the 2022 graduation. There were like 3 of you standing there. Yeah. Ushering the next class into the future, so to speak. Yeah. That was a great photo. She's the host of the popular podcast, Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin. She's also the author of the upcoming book, Purpose-Based Decisions. I think those are the Post-it notes behind you. Awesome. And she also has a chapter in an upcoming anthology of ours called Rising with Resilience. I'm sorry, there's so many going on right now. I had to think, which one is this? So welcome, Robin. Thank you so much for being here today. I do want to add, because I love this part, is that when you're not working, you're walking in the park, laughing with friends, or delighting over the fact that she's convinced her nieces and nephews that she's the coolest aunt. That's right. Thank you. So how did you get involved in course creation?
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. That's wonderful. Yes. Yeah. By nature, as you mentioned in the introduction, I'm a teacher, but in my heart, I'm a teacher. I think I was born a teacher. It took me a while to realize it, but during my time of teaching, it occurred to me, maybe I could use this passion and this love to share with others outside of the university. And so that's when I created Masterful Course Creations as a business. Yes.
I know we've had a couple other course creators on here historically in the 5 or 6 years we've been doing these recordings, and I'm still confused. So I'm going to let you help me get a little better idea of what it is. Where would I start if I wanted to create a course? What's the first thing I need to think about?
Okay, I have the teacher in me has a whole presentation. If it's okay to put that, I can do that. But first, I'm curious about everybody's here. I'm just so happy to see you all. I mean, some people complain about Zoom, but when I see your faces and I see new faces, I'm always excited to meet new people and see you. So I'm so glad to see you all. And I'm just curious. So I'm guessing you're authors because you're with Creative, right? With Davis Creative. I just like to see if you can put in the chat, tell me the chapter or book, the title of what you published or are publishing, not sure where you are. I'd just love to see that. Oh, and I see Rich has is up there, bully proof. Becoming bully proof. Oh, I see. Oh, that's important.
I love your message, Rich.
Yeah. Anybody in your chat? Oh, in the middle. I don't see the first word, but something in the middle, Karen?
In the middle, Karen. Yeah, it's
in the middle. And I see Greg has a season for sales. Yeah, a season for sales, a sales career journey. Michael published a book on a law firm practice. Now on the second book. Good for you, Michael. Whitney, shift chapter, the power of proper alignment. Ooh. And Kim, still working on the title, but it has to do with pet chicken dandelion. Love that. Oh, wow, Joanne, 3 Davis Creative Anthologies. And I see Bright Sports, LaShonda.
Bright Spots, Engaging Experts, and Clarity Out of Chaos. There we go. Yeah.
Wow. So Joanne, you've been busy.
And LaShonda was in Overcoming.
Living My Best Life. Wow. So
And
lots,
Rich,
go ahead.
yeah, made #1 best release in 4 groups. Awesome. Way to go, Rich.
Congratulations. Way to go. All right, so this is great. And so I don't know if I have share screen.
I did. I made you co-host.
Okay. All right. So the teacher in me has a PowerPoint presentation, but I'm also very kind of relaxed about this whole thing. And so if you want to take notes, take notes. I don't know if you thought about a course before, but my guess is you're thinking about how to make a bigger impact with your book and more income. And so this is a possibility to think about, and you'll have lots of notes to take away. So if you have something to take notes, that'll be great. And just pop questions in the chat, and hopefully we'll have time. I think we'll have time the way I planned it, Kathy, to have some interaction if people want some specifics.
And quite often if we know we have lots of questions, we'll go to 12:15. So we're good.
Okay, all right. So I'll give you a big overview and then take your questions as we go along. I'm really excited. Can't wait to get into it. All right, so let me now share my screen.
There we go.
You see the screen okay? I
Gotcha.
got it. Okay, all right. So this presentation is how to turn your chapter or your book, because I'm not sure where everybody, some people have chapters, some people have books. So how to turn your chapter or your book into a masterful course without getting stuck in overwhelm. I know getting stuck in overwhelm very well. I'm closely acquainted with that. So the goal of this presentation is, by the end of the presentation, you'll know 3 secrets to turn your chapter or your book into a successful course, so you can have more impact and more income. You know how to avoid the overwhelm when creating a course, and you'll know how to choose the best course delivery for you. But first, a little bit about me. I laugh every time I see that picture. I cropped that picture. It was a class. I don't know if you had those classroom pictures way back, right? And this one was in black and white. It was I don't even know what grade it was, but had the whole group in. So I cropped out me, but you could still see another student peeking through on the side there. And I put the picture there. Oh, sorry about that. I put the question there to remind me of this question. And I don't know if your parents asked you when you were growing up, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember distinctly sitting at the kitchen table with my mother, and she said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I just knew automatically. I said, a teacher. And she said, well, that's good. You can be a teacher. You can be whatever you put your mind to. And so I set out with that in mind in my early years. And somewhere along the way, I forgot it. I forgot that I declared that I would be a teacher. And when the time I got to high school, my mother said, well, what are you going to major in college? I said, I don't know. And she said, well, what about business? If you major in business, you'll always get a job. So I said, okay, makes sense to my high school mind. So I said, all right, I'll major in business. And that landed me in a leadership role in a bank. But, it was what everybody in my family and neighborhood and friends called a good job. But it was not fulfilling to me. So I set out on a journey to find a job and a work to make a difference in other people's lives. Not that you can't do it in the bank, but for me, it was not fulfilling. And I set out to make a difference, tried social work, and that was not quite my people, or I wasn't aligned with that work. I thought I was making a difference, but it really didn't suit my personality. So I ended up going back to grad school. Now, this is way into adulthood, way, way, way into adulthood, way past this picture of this little girl. And so I finally got the job teaching. And I guess it just had slipped away from me and it returned. But I still had the goal to make a difference and to do that through teaching. So that's a picture of me teaching where I teach now at Mount St. Mary's University in Los Angeles, California. I was giving a presentation in this picture. And so I've been doing this well over a decade now. And it was about just last summer, after teaching for years, loving it. I love teaching undergraduate students, actually anybody who will listen. I just love teaching, but in that particular environment, I love teaching the undergrads. And I somehow figured out, because I think if you can make a 20-year-old interested and engaged, that's a real accomplishment. It's a feat, right? And so I'd done that. And then last year, I kind of stumbled a bit after having success with teaching and enjoying it. I stumbled because I had the opportunity for the first time to now teach a course from my own book. For all those years, I was teaching courses from other textbooks and just doing it successfully. But something about, I was excited because I have now this opportunity to teach from my own book. But then I got nervous and I went back to the beginning, like, what do I do? I felt overwhelmed. I felt like that question, Kathy, you asked in the beginning, like, what do I do? I think it was because I'm so emotionally connected to my own work. I just forgot everything I knew and just went into a little bit of a panic about it. And so I said, well, let me think about this now. What am I going to do? How much of the book do I use for the course? What parts of it do I use? How much of it will be interesting to 20-year-olds, as I mentioned? So I went back and thought about the at least thousands of hours that I spent designing courses over the years. And so I said, what did I do? And I started trying to track and write down steps and lists of what I had done and what caused success. Because semester after semester, students at the end of the semester will give their evaluation of the course and talk about how they were surprised about how much they learned. And they were actually transformed through the courses. So I just kind of made a list, wrote everything down, looked at what was working, what didn't work, and how it all turned out, and decided to trust what had already been proven successful to me. And I'm like, I just do the same thing. And so since I had it all written out with what worked and what didn't work and that kind of thing, I then turned that list into what I call the mastery method. Of course, the teacher in me has to give it a framework and give it a name. So it was the mastery method. So this is back to your question, Kathy, about, so like, what do I even do? You start with the mastery method. So let me tell you about the mastery method. The mastery method is a way to have more impact. I'm still guided by that same thing. When I left the bank, I told you that job was not fulfilling and I set out to make a difference. I'm always looking for ways to make more of a difference in others' lives. So this was a way to have more impact and more income, which is always good, more joy and a sense of purpose. And here's the 3 secrets to turn your book into a masterful course. The first secret, your book must have mastery. Mastery, which is how to overcome the mystery and confusion about turning your book into a masterful course. Now, I'm just mentioning these 3 now, but I'll say a little more about each in a minute. The second secret is proven pedagogy. Pedagogy basically means teaching. Proven pedagogy, how to turn your book into a masterful course, even when you're not in a teaching profession like I am. Even when you're not in a teaching profession like I am. And the third secret is different types of delivery. How to know which tech platforms to use and how to use them. So those are the 3 secrets that we'll talk about in a little bit more right now. Somehow my computer seems to be frozen here with my slides. Let me check. Not quite sure. Are you still hearing me? Still hearing me okay? Yeah, okay.
We can still hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna stop share for just a second and start it back up and see if that will help.
I was alerted that Mercury is in its retrograde mode as of yesterday. And there will be technology hiccups. So it's just all go with the flow. It's all good.
Yes, I'll go with the flow. I like that. I like that. And I did see a notification popped up on my screen. Somebody was trying to get into the Zoom right now, and I just admitted them, Kathy, because they were there.
Okay.
So I don't know if that did something that.
You might want to try sharing your screen again.
Yeah, I thought I would go out and then it will fix itself and we'll go back in. We'll see.
Okay. I can still see those alerts too, so I'll take care of those. And Julie's on the call too, so
Okay.
we got you covered for letting people in.
Okay. All right. I'm just going back to without screen sharing just for a moment, and then we'll go back to screen sharing.
There we go. It's going to let us play in the sandbox today. Okay.
Hey, we're back. We're back.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't like the full screen, so I'll just use the small screen. Maybe that, I don't know, make a difference.
It works. It's all good.
You can see it okay still.
Mhm.
Okay, so those were the three secrets we were talking about before Mercury or whoever was doing what they were doing.
Right.
So the first secret is mastery. If you want to, if, using the masterful course method, of course, you need mastery in your course because it's the way to overcome the mystery and the confusion. Mastery is the way to overcome. So this is mastery. It's an acronym, of course, for all the aspects that are involved in creating a masterful course. The first one is, and this is just overview. I'm just going to give you a kind of overview, broad overview now, but then we'll go into one in more detail later. And if you want this later, I can always send it to you. Or later, if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me about it and we could talk about how it would work for you. All right, so mastery, M. This is the first, and I would say the most important. Your course must have measurable outcomes. You have to know what you want them to come away with at the end of the course, and they have to be measurable. The second thing is the course must address a specific problem. You say, well, I don't know what am I going to teach about? What is my course about? Think about one problem. You can help them move from one place to another, one problem. The S, the next step, is the course has to be student focused. Always in mind the student, the participant in the course. The next is T. The work that you're doing has to have been tested. So it has to have worked for you or for someone else. So it's tested. If you know it worked for you, whatever you're going to be walking them through, worked for you or somebody else, then it's likely that it'll help other people. So it has to be tested. The E in mastery is it has to enable small wins in each module or each lesson. So they have to take away something, make progress along the way. The R is results oriented. When you're creating your course, always think about what do I want the results to be? What do I want each part of it? What do I want the results to be? And Y stands for your personality. And this is the biggest one I think people forget about, your own personality and the way how you approach life and just your personality, what you like, what you don't like, include that. So your course is enjoyable. And so mastery then takes away the mystery and the confusion. It gives you a guide to follow and it gets results. It gives you a guide to follow and it gets results. Just like it did for Whitney, as somebody who I worked with, and she says, working with the mastery method removed the mystery from the process. She says it removed the mystery from the process. And she created her course from concept to launch. And as she's an author and a speaker and a coach. And before she started, she said, I have no idea. And it just seemed like a big mystery. So using the mastery method helped her remove that mystery. All right, so now we're on secret number 2. Proven pedagogy. The way to turn your book into a successful course, even when you're not a teacher by profession. Here's how you do it. You don't have to be a teacher by profession. You only need to follow the proven strategies that successful teachers use. And the most important strategy to get results, we'll talk about right now, in the mastery method is the M. I mentioned it before when we did the overview, but having measurable outcomes. So in your course, you have outcomes. And again, you're only going to solve one problem or address one issue they might have or one challenge they might have. But with that one problem, you want them to walk away with 3 outcomes. Now you might say, well, 3 outcomes. What do you mean by that? The 3 outcomes are getting at solving a problem. And this is how you get to the outcomes. Outcomes is a way of saying, by the end of the course or training, I want my student course participant to be able to do know, or feel? What do I want them to do, know, or feel? In any combination, depending on your topic, you might want them, all three might be no. I want them, because when I started at the beginning of this presentation, I said, we're going to know this, this, and this. So there can be 3 no's. It can be a no, a do, a feel. So any combination, but only 3, all geared towards solving one issue, one problem, one challenge that they have. For example, with the book with sales, that one issue might be people get stuck on a particular area of sales. So in that course, they will do or know just 3 things, 3 outcomes. So that is the outcome. That's the M in the mastery, the outcomes, that's the M in the mastery, but the whole system works together and it's a step-by-step process, and it saves time and it eliminates overwhelm. It eliminates overwhelm like it did for Jody. And Jody and I work together on the mastery system. She's an Amazon best-selling author. And Kathy, like you, she's a publisher. She owns a publishing company. And she says, after writing my book, I knew the next step was to build a course for my book. The curriculum was overwhelming. And so then we used the Masterful course method, and she was able to get hers done and eliminate the overwhelm. So the third secret is there are different ways of delivering your course. I think some people get stuck thinking, it has to be this right, perfect way. Which one? So knowing that there are different ways of delivering is the way to know which to use. And they depend on you, your personality, your preferences, and how you want to do it. And you don't have to be a tech expert. You really don't have to be a tech expert. I've worked with different clients at different times, and they've done different ways, and you could too. You can deliver your course in a number of ways. You can record, you can do it live. Once you get the curriculum done, you can do it live in person, now that we're doing more of that these days. You can do it just on Zoom. Like Whitney, who I mentioned before, she did a series, a 6-week series just on Zoom. Each week was a different topic, and that was her course. She didn't want to be bothered with a platform, or it didn't suit her personality. Another way you can do it, you can record it on Zoom, and then you can either upload it to a platform or upload it to YouTube. You can do that yourself, like Jody did. She uploaded herself on a platform or on YouTube. Or you can get help with a virtual assistant. To them, for us, we think it's like, oh, it's a lot of work. But basically, after it's recorded, those systems are easy to upload. But a virtual assistant can do it very easily and quickly for you. So you don't have to do it. And so a lot of this depends on your personality. There's no right way. I've seen success in all these ways. And people get caught up in sometimes that like, I have to do it just so. It depends on you and what you want and how you want to do it. And, you know, it's very personalized. And I'm happy to talk to you later if you want to think about how you can do that. But you can be like Ryan, he's a corporate speaker, and he wanted to just kind of show the people a little bit of his work. So he uploaded his on YouTube. And he says, I was hired to speak in front of 40 other directors who can hire me because someone saw my course. He says, this is a very important and vital business tool. And I recall when he was recording, he's asked me, do you think I should, he recorded it once. Should I do it again? Do I need to get a haircut and do all those kind of things? And apparently he didn't have to go get a haircut because somebody saw it and he got this speaking gig. So the things we worry about, as long as you're giving them transformation, they're not really worried about a lot of things we worry about. And the most important aspect of the course is it must lead to transformation. There has to be some change. And this mastery method ensures transformation, not just information. In the day of Google, we can Google to get information, but walking them through a process from something that you've already thought about through your book gives them results. And the results turn into a walking billboard. By that, I mean, people start talking about it. It's amazing. They just start talking about it and sending referrals. Because if they get results, it's something that stands out more than what they've had in other experiences. So mastery is the way. Mastery is the way. And it can be done in your way, according to your personality. And it doesn't have to be a big deal in the ways that we tend to think. And I'm happy to help anyone here. If you want to think about how you can put together yours, I'm happy to create a free customized plan for you, Masterful Course Plan, no strings attached. This is for Kathy's group. This is for Kathy Davis's group because I don't have a whole full schedule, but I do have some time. Well, actually, you can walk away and you can do it yourself. You have your plan. And of course, if you want me to help you, I'll help you, but no strings attached. So that's what I'll offer for you. So now I've been talking for a lot. Let's hear from you. Let's hear your questions and comments, thoughts.
Robin, thank you for that gift. That's awesome.
Really, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any specific questions for Robin? If you were to, I know some of your topics on here, so if you were to be thinking about creating a course, what might your topic be on?
Well, Kathy, mine's certainly going to be the title of that book that I'm writing with this other Ph.D. professor, Masculinity Revealing the Man Behind, which is based on my background, Robin, as a psychiatric social worker and a counselor, my first career, based on my philosophy on the issues that men struggle with. And look, I already have the chapter, the philosophy is there. So it's just a matter of the 4 components and then just breaking it down into the course format and how I want to present it. My question though, Robin, do you include handouts and workbooks with these courses?
Yes, and I do. And also, like I said over in the presentation, for you depends on your preference. So what I say to one person, you don't say everybody has to do it.
True.
But yes, I do. And yes, you can include them in. Yeah. So they're PDFs. Basically, you would type it up on a Word document and upload it as a PDF to accompany your videos. Yeah. And you have your book there. You have a lot of material for more than one course.
Right.
Yeah. More than one course. And if you think about that too, one course, one topic could be from one of the chapters or a piece of a chapter.
How long are the typical videos? Greg, we'll get to you next.
Yeah, good question. Lots of people ask that question. Between 5 and 15 minutes.
Whoa,
Okay.
that's short. Wow.
That kind of leads to my question is, are you a bigger fan of the 5 to 15? So maybe that's a $25 training course versus a full sales training course that might be $1,200. Like, do you have a preference one way or the other? Is there a starter? How do you?
Yes, I understand your question.
How do you monetize it? Yeah.
Yeah, monetize it is interesting. And the reason this is a longer answer to the question, but it's the answer to the question. 5 to 15 minutes is because of people's attention spans. And as I talked about in the mastery method, you have to enable wins. People have to know they're making progress. You want them to finish the course, right? You want them to finish it so they get results and they tell other people about it. And you want to make a difference, right? And so the time, they're not paying for the time. People don't pay more for more hours. Actually, it's almost the opposite. What they're paying for is the transformation and how quick you can give them the transformation. By transformation, how quick can they change? I have this problem and now I don't. I used to struggle with this and now I don't. By the end of this course, if I no longer do the thing that I was doing before that was bothering me, or the thing, whatever the problem is, if they have some results from that, the price is not an issue. And it's not based on how many modules, how many hours and all that. It's transformation.
So sounds like a real good key here as you start is to know what when I was in college, it used to be called pain points. And what I prefer to call it now are relief buttons. You know, what is it that your end user is looking for? You know,
Yes,
what do they wake up in the middle of the night worried about, and how do you solve that?
yes, absolutely. And they will pay for that. And so back to your question, Greg, courses range typically from, you could do a 197, 197, a 497, a $997 course and up.
You,
Up.
Robin, Greg, this may tap into what you were talking about that I was thinking is much like if you're looking at academics, there's bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD level. Is maybe doing something, Greg, what I'm thinking is maybe doing something where it's the 15-minute as a bachelor's degree level and then upselling a master's degree level that's more invested and more depth involved, and then a PhD level if someone really wants to go to the next level of deeper probing into issues. That may be another option where you're really just leveling it out as far as they're going to graduate school or undergraduate school.
Yeah.
You know?
And I did one, and it was much more involved than I thought ever when I started out. We were going to do the full sales training course, and we said, well, let's just do one little segment. It turned into 7 modules and about 5 months worth of work. And it was extensive and expensive, of course, because of all the work to put into it, but it hasn't been productive as some of the webinars I sold for $29.99 that got a lot of repeat sales. And I just trying to think, maybe it's along your lines. People don't want to spend 5 hours, 6 hours in front of their getting a master's when they want. Yeah.
Unless they were up at night saying, I really want a master's in this because it's going to change.
Yeah.
Or whatever you know what I mean? Whatever issue
Right.
they're dealing with at the
Right.
time. Yeah. They want a quick answer. So it's easier to break it up into several courses, one course per problem.
Right.
You have a book that has each chapter addresses something else.
Well, and Richard,
One-
I was going to say your top level that you were referring to, the PhD level, that may be where you want them to work with you one-on-one.
Right.
And that's where you can charge more. Yeah.
Right. I do like the idea of looking at, because people, if you wrap your head around making it as though it's a bachelor's level as being the short one, and it's, oh, I really like this, I want to go deeper, then you get your master's degree in that area. So you just go a little deeper in the same content, but deeper. So
Yeah.
I think that would really expedite us doing things faster and getting the work done faster to start the programs,
Yeah.
the courses.
Question for you, Robin. You mentioned the platforms. There's the Cadillac of Kajabi, and then there's, manually doing it all. But what is your preferred?
Right. And so for others who may not be that familiar with it, Kajabi, there's quite a few of these platforms that I say you can upload your videos and your PDFs fairly easily. But Kajabi is one because Kajabi includes a system that includes emails. And if you want to set up your whole business, it's all in there. It will automate everything for you. So it is kind of the Cadillac of them. And the one that I particularly like is called New Zenler. It's kind of in between. I don't need all the bells and whistles for a Kajabi. And I want something that's simple but beautiful and does everything I need it to do. But if my virtual assistant couldn't do it, I could do it myself. It's easy enough for me to upload it if anything happened.
And what's the name? I'm sorry.
New Zenler. I'll put it in the chat. New Zenler.
Right.
And I don't have any affiliation or anything with them, but it's just the one I used. But there's lots of others. For example, Jody in the slides, she used Mighty Networks, because for her, it was important to have community. She wanted her people to go in there instead of going on Facebook. She wanted them to have their community in there, talk to each other, engage, and do the courses. So each platform is a little bit different depending on what you want. For example, we talked about Kajabi, that's business and sales oriented. New Zenler's more course. Mighty Networks, if you want community. And again, I'm giving you sort of a broad overview now, but if anybody wants to talk to me, we can talk. I put the link in the
Thank you
chat.
very much.
And
You can-
Robin,
click on it.
Karen has a good question. How do you find your audience to sell the course?
That's a very good question. If you're on social media, it depends. Karen, let's see, I see you now. Okay. I was trying to find your face so I can talk to your face, even though you don't know I'm talking to your face. If you don't have an audience, I would start with, and everybody does this. I mean, even the most successful people start with family and friends as a trial, sort of like a free trial. Just get whoever you can to come. Let's say you're going to do a course and you just say, hey, I'm going to practice this course. Can you come and participate in it? And once they do, you ask them after they got experience. Now they start telling other people. Then you build up, but you have confidence. You're like, oh my gosh, it's helping someone. So usually start with family and friends and any people you know, people who you've sent emails to, people you work for. You know, some people find, you know, I'm a little uncomfortable with that, but they'll do it because oh, you're helping me try out this new course. So you're not like selling them. You're just saying, help me do this. And so that way you figure out how to do it and you get confidence because you see they're getting results. And then they start telling the people who are really outsider people that really would need what you're offering. So that's where it begins. It's a slow step. It's a slow build. But I did that for this, you know, when I was teaching last year and preparing for the semester, I said, I wonder if I could do this for people outside of the university. I don't know if it'll work for other people. So I just started out, I said, let me just try 3 people. So I said, who do I know that might be interested in this, that they can actually use the course? I know lots of speakers, authors, and coaches. So I just got 3 of them to say, hey, would you do this? And they said, yeah. And they started getting results. And then they started telling people. And they started telling people. And I'm always surprised. I'm like, oh my goodness. Because I thought I had to do all the things, you know, all the gurus tell you, do this and that and this and that. And I'm like, wow, this thing is just kind of evolving based on that. So that's a good way, Karen. I encourage you to do it. Just try it. You'll have fun. You wrote the book. Those things are important to you, and to help people get a more deep transformation and work with your thoughts and your knowledge. It's a wonderful way to do it.
Any other questions before we? And Karen has put her contact information in the chat. I heard a voice.
So yeah, I put the link in there. You can click on the link now because it's going to go away once we leave Zoom. So it'll be in your computer. If you want to plan again, just to figure out how you would do it. You don't have to do it now, or you don't have to do it later. But if at some point you wanted to do it, you'll have a plan ready to go when you're ready to do it. And
And
again,
when we send out the follow-up link, we'll include that link for you in there. People can reach out and contact you.
and
Well,
if you could, when that goes out, I don't want to keep it open for too long. So if you can do it within the next week, that would be good. Next few days. Well, then I could free up my calendar. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I know I have learned a lot today. I love this concept of start with Zoom and do a little one, do it on Zoom. And you're right. Record your webinar, record, a workshop and start with that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Basic information.
Yeah, people are into it now after the pandemic. People are into courses. You hear a lot about it, but there's still a lot of need.
Mhm.
So having a course to accompany your book, I think will serve you well.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
Thank
The
you.
recording will go out either late this week or early next week. And please mark your calendar we'll be meeting in 4 weeks on June 9th. We're going on to our summer schedule for once a month rather than twice a month. So the second Tuesday in June is the 9th, 11 a.m. Central. And we'll be speaking with Danielle Brown on the value of video to help market your business. Thank you everyone for being here, especially the live people today, the live as opposed to the non-live people. Sorry about that. But you know what I meant. Yeah. I appreciate you all for being here. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you all.
Thank you, Robin. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.